So I just finished my third placement this week, and this week something that I really want to touch on um, is how the program is suited towards including everyone. And so for me, inclusion is just everyone in the group or the activity um, has the opportunity to participate, and regardless of their limitations or capabilities that they have, that they are able to participate in some way. So yeah, that's kind of like what that is to me. So at my community placement, there are some kids who come in with different um, limitations, whether that be like physically or like a verbal like barrier. So it's really, I don't know, it's been really interesting to see kids who are maybe the same age but communicate differently, um, see how they actually interact with each other. And it kind of like makes me think about if I were to interact with someone who communicates differently than me. Um, like for me or any like adult or whatever, a lot of times we see it as a bigger deal, a bigger barrier than as kids see it, because kids are like, oh, like they can't speak like I can. They communicate using like different sounds or hand movements or like showing me or like something like that. Then they're like, okay, then I'll do that too. Just so like they just kind of get around it like, oh, it's no big deal. So I think it's actually really like kind of humbling to see little 2-year-olds do that. And and yet like adults, when we're interacting with other people, a lot of times I've seen people who are communicating with other individuals who again don't communicate the same way, and a lot of times they're like condescending, as if like they think they're incompetent, they don't understand what they're trying to say, and that's not the case. They just communicate differently. And so I think it's really, I don't know, I loved seeing like these young kids just get around that like it's no big deal, because I think taking that um, like in like later years, I think that's a really valuable lesson to learn when you're younger, and to carry that into when you're older, and you're trying to interact with people of all different skills and abilities. Um, so that's kind of more of an extreme case or whatever, but I think it also can carry out to just like day-to-day things. So for example, for music, if we're in a band setting, and some things come easier to them as opposed to someone else who has to work hard for it. Um, Instead of seeing that person who has to work hard for it as like, oh, you're like, they don't understand, they're incompetent of it. It shouldn't seem as such a big barrier. It should seem as, okay, how are we going to work around that barrier to work together and improve together? In the same way that if someone doesn't communicate the same way as you, like, shouldn't seem as a big deal. We shouldn't be that separated. Yeah, I don't know if any of this really makes sense, but that's kind of what I got from my placement time this week. Um, yeah, it was awesome. Really, it was really awesome to see that, and I think it's something that I can take that lesson and kind of move forward into my own life. So yeah, so I wonder, we'll see if that continues. Um, like I said, I noticed that in kind of like the younger kids. I mean, I don't know if I would necessarily be able to see it in like babies because they can't talk anyways. But I think like moving forward, I'll kind of like look out for different ways that the different ages kind of get around like barriers. So yeah, thanks for listening.